There's the Heilige Mishnah, the Shuz Latzlochas Klal Yisrael, Iluish Masav Mer Menachem Ben Akiva, Refuas Pnina Chaya Bas Golochel, Refuas Or Refuel Ben Dalia, who? Refua? Shena Bas Esther. Okay, Beser Shach Ol Yisrael. Zdiva Gogun, Ahuva Shir Liba Bas Esther Froman. Zog the Heilige Mishnah. Al Menas Shiur Tze'aba. We're continuing Maseches Kiddushin, and we're learning about conditions. Condition. Says the Mishnah. Al Menas Shiur Tze'aba. The Chosan tells the Kala, the Kiddushin will only apply on condition that my father will want. Al Menas Shiur Tze'aba. I guess he's concerned that the father is not so much into him marrying that girl. He says Al Menas Shiur Tze'aba. Yeah, Al Menas that the father, my father, will want. And otherwise, no. Says the Mishnah, Rotzoav Mikudeshes, Vimlav Ena Mikudeshes. If the father wants the marriage, she's Mikudeshes, and if the father doesn't want, she's not Mikudeshes. It may sound so simple and simplistic, soon you'll see that it's not simple at all. The Mishnah, it's very important to know that this Mishnah has three parts. The first part is, he's saying, if my father wants, it's on, and otherwise off, obviously. And if the father wants, then yes. If the father doesn't want, then no. Okay, very nice. Number two, Meis ha'av arezim ukudeshes. Whatever that means, we'll see in the Gemara, but let's just translate. Meis ha'av arezim ukudeshes. If the father died, I assume he died without saying anything. Meis ha'av, the father died at some point, then she is mikudeshes. The father died, leaving his secret behind. He died maybe without showing consent or otherwise. I don't know. Arezim mikudeshes. The father dies mikudeshes. That's case number two. It's called mitziasa. You know what's mitziasa? There's Reisha and Seifa, there's also Metziasa, the middle case. Seifa, here comes the third case. Meis Haben, the son dies. Let's say the son died. Melamdina, if the son died, then Beis Din teach or encourage the father to say, post-mortem, after the death of the son, Choson, we tell his father, we tell the father to say that he's not interested in the marriage. Thus, the marriage will be annulled lemafraya. Retroactively, the Kiddushin was never Kiddushin because it was all dependent and contingent upon what? The father wanting. The father may still shows disapproval even after the death of the Chosan, and then lemafresh is not Mekudeshes. And the Kiddushin were never Kiddushin. Why are we trying to create a situation in which the Kiddushin never existed? Because we always want to avoid Yibum. That's always the rule. Many times, okay, we're talking obviously when they have no kids, yeah. So we want to avoid Yibum because Yibum is a headache. Maybe she doesn't like the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law can force the Yibum. Chalitza stories. We prefer to get out of that trouble by that. So there are three cases. Let's repeat because these three cases we're going to now make shish kebab over these three cases. So we better know them well. Case number one, simple. He made a condition, the chosan, al minas that the father will want. Yeah, if he wants yes, he doesn't want no. Fine, good. Second case, if the father died, she is mekudeshes. Third case, if the son died, then we say that if the son died, then what? We tell the father you still have the chance to disapprove, to disqualify the kiddushin. Sorry. You still have the option of disqualifying the Kiddushin, and we encourage him to do that. Okay, very good. Now, with that in mind, let's see what the Gemara has to say. As we know, before we continue, we saw previously in the Masechta, actually we saw it in the first parak, if you remember, there's all types of way of agreeing or disagreeing, different levels. We all know that in a normal lechatchila frum chasana, what does the kala say? Nothing. The kala just agrees by being silent, right? And that's halacha also between men. If you tell me that I owe you $1 million and you seem very serious, and we have Adim over here, and Alan is telling me that I owe £1 million, and I'm not saying anything, we assume that I agree, right? And then you can take me to Beis Din that I admit that I owe you £1 million. Good for you. So now there are Adim, and you seem to be very serious about it. So consent, shtika kordon. Consent is what? Silence is consent. And sometimes consent is more than that. Sometimes is when the person says yes. Consent means an active approval by saying yes. And that exactly is the question of the Gemara over here. My, says the Gemara, my almenas sheyirtze abba. What does it mean when the Chosen said almenas sheyirtze abba? How do you translate the words? My Kiddushin is Kiddushin on condition that my father wants. Ilema ad de omar abba in. If he means to say, my condition is, although normally in halacha shtike korido, my condition with you, my dear Kala, is only if my father says yes, a clear yes, then it's on, and if he doesn't say anything, then it's off. That could be as of itself, but then something's not going to work right in the metzias, in the middle case. Why? It says Mesa Avareza Mukudeshes. If the father died, she's Mukudeshes. Obviously, what does it mean the father died? It's not that he said yes, because then there's no chiddush. The father died. The whole idea of the father died is he took his secret with him to the grave. The father died, and we don't know what he thinks, what he said. He didn't say anything, and yet it says Areza Mukudeshes. The Haloi Omar in. Clearly, by context, when he died, it means he died without us knowing what he thought, and yet we say yes Mukudeshes, even though he didn't say yes. So you can't say that in our Mishnah to agree means to say an active yes, because we see that even though he died without saying anything, it's already a yes. So we rule that out. So therefore, once we rule that out, must be what? Ella, there's only one more option. Almanas sheyish toik abba. Maybe the agreement is silence. Silence is consent. Almanas sheyish toik abba. In other words, if my father keeps quiet. Now, ishtok means when he listens. Oh, that you have to understand. Ishtok means if the father, upon hearing the news that I married Shprin Tzabela, here she is again. Yeah, if the father hears that I married Shprin Tzabela and he's quiet, he's not protesting, that's good enough. That's called rotzo, that's called wanting. And if he protested right away, upon hearing it, then the Kiddushin will not be Kiddushin. Okay, that could be. But then there's another problem. There's another problem. Ema Seifa. It says in the Seifa, the third case, third and last, it says Mesa Ben. If the son died, Melamdin Esav lo Sheno Roitze. We said if the son died. When did the son die? The son could have died 10 years later. He died. Person can die. He died. The scud hit him. Yeah. The son died. I don't know when. And yet we say that once, even after his death, the father may still protest and we encourage him to protest and say, I don't want. Am I? Why? Or meaning, how does that help? The Hashosik, he already kept quiet. The assumption is that in that 10 years or however long it took, Lamaisa, the father kept quiet, and you're telling me that keeping quiet is consent. So once he consented by keeping quiet, later when the son dies, he says, no, actually, no, too late, too little, too late. So we're really stuck here, because if you learn in the mission from beginning till end, the middle case and the last case, they don't make sense, right? Because, in other words, we are unclear rather, what does it mean for the father to agree or disagree? Do we mean to say that the father agrees by saying yes, and otherwise it's a no? But that's a problem with a mitziasa, because if the father died quietly without saying anything, we say it is okay. So the Mishnah is really seemingly telling me that keeping quiet is already consent. So if the father kept quiet and that's consent, how come after, in the third case, when the son died before the father, how come after the death of the son, all of a sudden, the father can say, no, I never wanted this Kiddushin, but he kept quiet. And keeping quiet is already a tick, is already an approval. So this Mishnah is self-contradictory, right? Ela, right? And therefore, Ela Omer Lo, Al Menas Shelo Yimche Abba. Oh, now we are cutting the Mishnah into pieces. We're now cutting the Mishnah, the Reisha and the Seifa. The Reisha is one case, and the Metziasa and the Seifa are another case. The Seifa is Al Menas Shelo Yimche Abba, which means, in the Reisha, we're going to see it in Rashi soon. In the Reisha, Al Menas, that my father will agree, it means to say that the father is, if he keeps quiet straight away and he did not protest, that's ticking the box. He ticked the box and the Kiddushin is Kiddushin. If so, how can the son die and the father still protests after the death, after so long, after the father was quiet. The Seifa is talking about a different case altogether. The Seifa is talking about a case of what? A case in which she was hanging by a thread. He kept it pending and said, as long as my father never ever protests, I'm giving my father the right to protest forever and ever, even after my death. And therefore, after my death, if he was protesting, still, yeah, the marriage can be annulled. Let's see it inside Rashi. Rashi, the third Rashi, which is in the second line of the page. El al menah shelo yimche abba. Ach seifa, this seifa, the ktani melamdin, the seifa that says that we teach the father, we encourage the father to say no, even after the death of the dafka, after the death of the son, to avoid yibum. Lo mitukum hakaresha ba'al menah sheyishtoik. It's not like the Resha. The Resha was, as long as daddy keeps quiet for half a second, he didn't protest right away, that's it, it's marriage. That's in the Resha. Ella, the Seifa, Ba'almanas shelo yimche, meaning almanas that my father never protests. The kol kama demachi okar lehu. As long as the father is alive, the father has the right to be moiche and oiker. What's tla'akor? Uproot. He can uproot the marriage by protesting. Shariloi kovazman lemecho. He never put a time limit to the mecho. The couple can live forever and ever happily, but doubtfully. In other words, as long as the old father is alive, the father can always put a veto to the marriage, like the US in the UN. You know, they can put the veto, right? The father can also put the veto on the marriage all the time, forever, and as long as he may do that, even after the death of the son. Now, and therefore now really everything works right, because we broke the Resha from the Seifa. Rashi elaborates and explains more. The Resha lekalukum in the Resha, you can't explain like the Seifa that the father forever can protest. Why? There's no such thing as the father wanting. Then can Kiddushin lo'olam. You can't say once the father approves, he approves. There's never approval because he always has the right to disapprove. As long as the father is alive, the marriage is always in question. So there is no such thing as ticking the box as long as the father is alive. They will only be surely married when the father is dead. And therefore, this is the way to read the Mishnah. Now, as Rashi is reading us the Mishnah beautifully from beginning to the end. Rashi will now reread the whole Mishnah, doing a great job as always. Al menashi took Abba. In the Resha said, I'm marrying you on condition the father keeps quiet upon listening to the news. Shosa, Shisha Agaba, Shosa, if the father was quiet when he heard that his son married Shmita Bela, Tik Mekudeshet straight away, and he cannot protest afterwards. That's a Resha. Loi Shosak Elamicha Altar was still in the Resha. If he wasn't quiet, but what's Altar? Right away he protested, and it is time limited in the Resha. In the Resha, it's time limited. That very second, you have to act quickly. And if you quickly protested, and in Mekudeshes, then it's clear. End of Resha. The second part of the Mishnah is a different case, a different story. The im omar al abba. Oh, if he said, I'm only marrying you on condition that my father will never ever protest, but my father may protest. His father is now 50, and my father will live till 120. He does, let's say. For the next 70 years, a marriage will always be, big question. Yeah, maybe my father will say no. And then what? The father was what? If the father died without protesting, why? Because the father, if he was moiche, Kiddushin is nothing. The father was not saying anything, then big question mark. Once the father is dead, they deserve a mazel tov. I know it's not nice to say. But once the father is dead, then the Kiddushin is for sure, valid. Aval kolim echayav enam Kiddushin. As long as the father is alive, enam Kiddushin. Mesa ben. Let's say the son died and the father is alive. Oh, that's actually working very well for her. The almana is really not crazy over her brothers-in-law. She doesn't like them. Yeah, they may like her. That could actually be a problem. So Beis Din teaches him, let's use that card for our benefit. for our good. He, the father, as long as you are alive, you can always protest even after the death of the son, because the cards are in your hands. So we tell the father, you protest, and then lemafrer kiddushin and not kiddushin. Very good. But she doesn't want to do chalitza because she won't be able to marry a Cohen. Or her brother-in-law, excuse my bad language, may rape her, and then she'll be married for life. It's one of the things that are hard to understand. But if the brother-in-law just comes and has his way with her, then she is married for him for life, and that's not something nice. And therefore, we prefer to avoid the situation of Yibim and Chalitza, and she doesn't want to do Chalitza. She doesn't want to fast. I have a friend who's a dying, so he told me that they have to fast until they do the Chalitza because the spittle, the saliva has to be the pure, without any food in it. So she has to fast until the Chalitza is done. Bekitzer, not fun. What? Hopefully, hopefully they do it early in the morning. Yeah, right. Better, I'm saying, but she still has to fast if you are, like a blood test. Yeah. So now, okay, Bekitzer, yeah, not ideal. Oh, so listen to how we solve the solution. This is not the first time in our lives that we see a Mishnah where the Reish and the Sefer are not exactly in tandem with each other, right? And here we find a very unique solution that actually will mamish have a different story, a different reality in the Reish and in the Sefer, right? In the Reish was immediate. The father has that 1 second to say yes or no. And the Tzias and the Sefer, the other way around, the father has his cards in his hands till the end of his life of the father. Oh, so now, Frag the Gemara, Ema, yeah, Reisha Bechad Taima, Mietzias of a Sefer Bechad Taima. Are you explaining the Reisha in one way, in one reality, Mietzias of a Sefer Bechad Taima? In the middle of the last case, time here doesn't mean a reason. It means mamish a different reality, a different case. Absolutely, that's what it means. You see Rashi and the Sodom Mefoshim. Rabbi Anna in says Rabbi Anna, yes, I have no problem with that. Yes, sometimes Mishnahs can have two different realities. It's not written outright in the Mishnah black and white, but us, Amiroim, can explain the Mishnah to be talking in two different cases. Omar Shlakish. So Shlakish is now continuing riding on the wave of Rabbi Anai that said that one Mishnah can talk about two different cases. Shma mino le Rabbi Anai or mi de Rabbi Anai. We can hear from what Rabbi Anai say. We can derive, we can infer the chkinan. Sometimes we're doichek. Yeah, sometimes we say something that is, we're pushed to the corner. We explain that the Mishnah spoke about two different cases, but with one Tana, with one logic, one idea. No, there's no machloikis in the Mishnah. There's just two cases, but there's no machloikis. The Mishnah could have said, by the way, I'm sure you do realize, the Mishnah could have had another solution to say that the Reish and the Sefer argue. The case was, he said, Al Menat Sheirtze. What does Al Menat Sheirtze mean? You can say the Reisha is one Tana and the Sefer is another Tana, and they argue regarding what does Al Menat Sheirtze mean. Does Al Menat Sheirtze means he'll keep quiet right away, or Al Menat Sheirtze means forever and ever he has the right to always protest? And he can have Reisha, Rabbi Akiva, Sefer Talfon, or just anonymous Tanoim. We prefer not to say that. We prefer not to say that. We prefer to really say that the Mishnah spoke about, there's no machloikis in halacha in the Mishnah. How do we interpret a certain sentence? But rather, it's two realities. In reality, the Reisha was, the Chosen said X. In the Sefer, he said Y. It's not like he said A, and we're cholik whether A means X or Y. It's our machloikis. We don't say that. And by the way, it's a machloikis. Because Rabbi Yochanan in Bava Kama says exactly the opposite. Rabbi Yochanan in the Mishnah Namafki, there's the Mishnah there, Posach Bekad, Siyam Bechovis, there's the Mishnah there ambiguous, and then Rabbi Yochanan says just the opposite. We prefer to say there's a machloikis in halacha, in the interpretation, and not say they were talking about two different cases. Yeah, so it's machloikis. What do we do with the difficult Mishnah? Do we prefer saying it's one case with a logical machloikis, or do we say it's two different cases, no machloikis, it's two different stories? That's what we say over here. Ad kan akofo aleph. Now, Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef Bar Ami Omar. Rav Yosef Bar Ami has a different solution for our difficult Mishnah. Really, I can help you read the Mishnah in a nice, sleek, consistent, homogenic way from the beginning to the end of the Mishnah. The entire Mishnah is one case, one halacha. Psh, magic, magic, magic. How could that be? Umay almanas shirtze abba. You know what he means when he says almanas my father wants? Almanas shelo yimche abba mikan vat shloshim yoim. Oh, there's a middle road. We always like the golden path, middle road. Up until now, we were extreme. The ratio was the father has that one moment to the quick decision, yeah, like they say in all the advertisements. So those, yeah, quick decision investment, yeah. The father can either decide yes or no right away, and the seifa, the father can schlep them for life. Now, says Rav Yosef Arami, I have a middle of the road solution. All three cases of the Mishnah are the father has a time limit of 30 days. From the time you hear it, you have 30 days to appeal, yeah, to show us your consent or lack of it. And that's beautifully misader all three cases. Look at Rashi. The last Rashi before the Mishnah. Allow me to make a broche. Rashi. He set a time for the mecha of the father. The father doesn't have the right of veto and protesting forever, right? Hilkach, therefore, all three cases will be explained beautifully. Rotzo ha'av, what's rotzo ha'av? What does it mean to want? She'ovru shloishim v'loi micha. 30 days went by since the father heard it and he did not protest. Hey, daddy, you maxed out your time. 30 days passed. In day 31st, you said, that's the girl you're marrying? Day 30 passed, too late. Loi rotzo, still in the Reisha. Loi rotzo, shemicha toch shloshim, ene mekudeshes. The father made a face and one being now, within 30 days, she is retroactively not mekudeshes. That's case Reisha, number one. Case number two, Metziasa. Me'sa'av betoch shloshim, mekudeshes. The father died within 30 days, mekudeshes. Why? Damrinan, two-man machi. Now, from now on, who's going to protest? They go to his caver in the shloshim, right? And what do? They love the father, but they celebrate their marriage. Sorry to say, right? Because now 30 days the father heard it, and 15 days into hearing he died. 15 days later, boom, that's it. He's not there to protest maybe bas kol from Shamayim. That's too late, yeah? So of course, now the marriage is marriage. Third case, Mesa Bein Betoich Shloishim. That case of the son is not forever if the son died. If the son died within 30 days, we quick chaparain. If the son died within the term, within the period of time of protest of the father, within 30 days, we take advantage of it and we say, oi, Miskena, she starts crying to us, oh, I can't take the brother-in-law, Chalitza Ibum, oh, leave me alone, and shattered. No problem, lady, life is good. Your father-in-law is still within his 30 days of protest or potential protest. We run to his house and we say, come, show us mecha within 30 days. We don't care that the son died regarding the father's mecha. The father can be moicha, givaldig. And therefore, that's not very nice and aesthetic, homogenic. All three cases are within Shloshim Yom and everything works right. We don't have to cut the Mishnah into pieces. Okay, the next Mishnah, I'm even less prepared than now. This actually went well, Baruch Hashem. And first of all, we're listening to Rabbi Peretz Shli. There's the Heilige Mishnah B'siyata D'Shmaya. So before we continue into the next Mishnah, let's remember two rules. We all know that a father has the full right, midoraisa. Again, it's not recommended, it's not done at all today, but midoraisa, Mikar Adin, a father may marry off his daughter when she is below 12 and a half. Below 12 and a half. Surely dealing very well with the shidduch crisis. You think I'm laughing? But that's what Tosfos says. Tosfos says that since nowadays, why do some people marry the daughters young? Although it says that it's not, the Gemara already says, the beginning of Perek Sheni, that it's not a good thing to marry your daughter too young when she's below 12 until she decides who she wants. And then the Tosfos says, but today it's very hard to marry off girls because it's expensive. That was back then. But Tosfos stuff today it's cheap, yeah. So, so then what? So then Tosfos says, Teshavat shetal bin roisho, or maybe other Rishonim say it. Yeah, in other words, if you have the chance to marry off your daughter, now you have some sum of money, use it now and marry off quickly. Otherwise, she will stay a spinster forever. But Lamaisa Mikra Din, a man may marry off his daughter when she's below bas mitzvah and a half. Now, another halacha, and this is something which we're now realizing in this Mishnah. A father has the ne'emanus, the credibility. We believe a father who says, "I married off my daughter." In other words, a man has ne'emanus. Man is credible like an aid about the issues, the topics to do with his family. For example, as we saw in Bava Basra extensively, a father may say, "This son of mine is a bchor, the other one is not a bchor." Let's say there's a question about twins or some kind of illegal, whatever. The father can say, "This son is a bchor and this one is not a bchor yakir." So too, the father has the right, which we're going to see later on from the pasuk, the source. The father has the right to say, "I was makadosh my daughter." So the daughter may be even now. The question is how old she is. We'll see later. Let's say the girl now is below bas mitzvah to play it safe, because later it's a question. And the father says, "My daughter, I'm the one who was mekadesh. I received kiddushin from my daughter. She is mekudeshes. Nobody is allowed to touch her. She's an eshetish." Okay, fine. Says the Mishnah. Kidash biti. A man says about his daughter, "I was mekadesh her." Ay, what a shtoch. What a terrible tragedy. He says, "I know my daughter is mekudeshes and I believed, but I don't know who to. I don't remember. Was it Chaim Yankel? Was it Yankel Chaim? Was it Yaakov? Was it Chaimke? I don't remember who it was. And now she is stuck. She's stuck now because she's mekudeshes to someone we don't know who to. So she can't marry anybody. Here comes the knight in his shining armor. Uba acher v'omar ni kiddashtia. Comes the man and said, or echod, came one man and said, "I was mekadesh her, Neman." Oh, one man came and he liberated her. And he says, "I'm the one who's mekadesh her." What does it mean? Let's live with her together. I'll consummate the marriage with her. I was mekadesh her. He's believed. That chosan that came out of nowhere is believed to say, "I'm the one who married her." And the question, of course, is why? But this is what the Mishnah says. Now, another case. Two men fight over one woman. Yeah, each one says, "I was the one Mekadesh her." Comes Reuven and says, "I was Mekadesh Prince Abela." Shimon says, "No, no, no, I was Mekadesh Prince Abela." And the father doesn't remember. The father remembers he was Mekadesh to someone. We don't know if it's Reuven or Shimon. Batalis. Each one says, "I'm the husband. I was Mekadesh her." Shneim noisnin get. They both have to give get if they want to allow her to other people, but they're believed. In other words, we believe that their get is the good get. We don't know which one. So both Reuven and Shimon have to give her get. If they agree between them, Reuven and Shimon, echad noisen get, vechad koines. They fight and they say, I was Makadesh, I was Makadesh. You know what? Reuven is not so enthusiastic about her. So Reuven says, "You know what? I'll give her a get. I know I'm the husband. I'm not lying, and I know that you're lying. I'm saying the truth. I'll be nice to you. I'll be a real gentleman, and I will give her a get. And the other one will marry her and consummate the marriage with her, and that is okay. The one can give get, one can actually live with her, and that's about it. Okay? So the father is believed, and also any potential chosan who comes is also believed. Shlomo, okay? If my father-in-law can't remember who I am, some people see it as an advantage, actually, that the father-in-law doesn't know who they are. He leaves them alone. And by some people, it's a disadvantage. That's a question over here. Yeah, how do they look at the father-in-law? Good. Here comes Machlokes Amoraim. And of course, the question is, why is it Bichlal that a man is named to say, "I was Mekadesh"? I'll tell you a little secret, not to keep you in suspense, that the reason why the father is named to say, is believed to say, "I married off my daughter," because it says in the Torah, in Parshas Naira Meroso, in the Parsha of Motzei Shema, it says the father can say, "Es biti nosati la'ish hazeh." Verbatim, quoting the father in the Torah, saying, "Es biti nosati la'ish hazeh." My daughter, I gave that man. We learn a lot of things from this pasuk. One of them is, I believe to say, I gave my daughter to that man. Okay. Or I gave my daughter to a man, don't remember who. Okay. That's the father. Now, of course, the question is, why are people believed to say, "I married her"? Any Joe Schmo can come and say, "I married that girl." And you know what? She's a good-looking girl, a big tzaddikus, and he likes her, and he knows her from the office. And he has an interest to say, "I married her, I'm her husband." And maybe she'll also, what? She will also cooperate, but maybe they're lying. You know what I'm saying? How do you know? How do you know it's true, right? Oh, let's see. Amarav. I mean, we know that she's married because we believe the father. So now it's a worse problem. We know she's married, and now Mr. Whoever, Pliny Almoini, comes and says she's married to me. Yeah, but how do you know? Maybe she's married to somebody else, and he has self-interest because she's really a nice girl, right? So let's see what Amiroim Rav and Rav Asi actually argue just about that. Omar Rav, Neman liten get, they Neman lichnoy. Says Ravo, I'm limiting his nemanus big time. Says Rav is only believed to give a get, but he's not believed to actually consummate the marriage and be with her under the chuppah and further on. Why is that? Neman liten get en odem choyte v'loy loy. That's a concept in Hilchas Shabbos. It's a concept in many places. A person doesn't sin. We're talking here about people who are generally frum people. You know, in the times of the Gemara, everybody was frum. Sometimes frum people do naughty things and averas, but in general, yeah, people keep Torah. A person doesn't sin unless he has self-interest. Why would a frum person sometimes sin? It's fun. I want to talk Lashon Hara. I want to eat that questionable thing because my Yitzhara is enjoying it. But why would I sin? Yeah, if not for my own self-benefit. A person is not choite, doesn't sin, if not loy, if not for his own enjoyment. And therefore what? To say that he is her husband and give her a get, what is he doing here? We're choshesh, maybe he's lying, maybe she's not his wife. You know what he's doing? He's trying to help her get out of misery of what? Miskena, the father knows that she's married, she's chained. She's married to who knows who, we don't know. And therefore he's coming and saying, I'm really your husband, I'll give you a get, and now you'll be free to marry whoever you want. If he's a liar, he's doing a terrible thing. This is a frum person who's doing what? He's giving a false get, knowing that he's lying, and he's giving this Eshet Ish who's really belonging to another man a get, and he'll marry other people, creating mamzerim. A regular person wouldn't do such a vicious thing, because it's a terrible chet, which he's not gaining anything from. A person wouldn't do such a terrible chet if not for his own self-gratification. There is no self-gratification, and that's why he's believed. Now Rav answered the question why he's believed, but from the very same reason, says Rav, oh, it's very limited. The ein neman lichnois is not neman to actually live with her. Ema yitzroi toikfoi. Maybe the Yetzer Hara got the better of him. When it comes to him marrying her, actually consummating the marriage, that's great fun to be married in certain aspects of marriage. And therefore what? He has Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara, what's toikfoi? Attacked him. And that's why he's saying she's my wife, because he wants to live with her, even though he's not her husband. Aish is someone else's Eshet Ish. Sadly, some people choit in Eshet Ish. And that's why to that level, he's not believed. That's what Rav says. Very nice, beautiful. That's what Rav says. Adkan Rav's opinion. Rav Asi Omar, Af Neman Lichnois. Wow. Rav Asi says, is even believed to say, I am her husband and I will live with her from now on, and she's my legal wife, and they will go and live together like husband and wife and have children. Let's look at Rashi. Why? Af Neman Lichnois. This is the third Rashi from the current Mishnah. Af Neman Lichnois. Why is Rav Ashi giving him such credibility? Maybe the guy is he likes her good looks and a good fun-loving. Says Rashi, Af Neman Lichnois. The loy chatzif. A person is not as audacious. Loy chatzif lememer lifnei av shekibel kiddushin anihu. He's not mechutzaf. He's not so blatantly audacious. Yeah, so insolent. So this mechutzaf to tell the father, I'm the one who accepted. Yeah, the father, hooray! The father is the one who accepted kiddushin, and he can't say, I'm the man. I'm the one who gave the kiddushin. Why? The miotat. He's scared. Dilma makrish lei ve'omar yadan delavat yav kiddushin. As much as the father doesn't remember, the father may confront him and say, I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't you. I remember some guy with blue eyes, and you are completely, I don't know, Taimani. Whatever. I know it wasn't you. And being that awkward situation, then the person wouldn't say it. And therefore, if the person does say it, that alone gives him credibility. If the person is there standing in Beis Din and denying the father, saying, yes, it is me, like lahavdi, not lahavdi, like similarly, we have the concept by choiv, yeah? We say, if a person says, you owe me money, and the person says, I owe you nothing in his face, he says, a person who lent you money, you want to have the audacity to come to a person who did you a favor and knows the truth, to tell him outright, you lent me nothing, you don't do that. What would you say? You lent me half. What the bemiktas? Yet people, most normal, Yiddish people wouldn't be as mechutzav to lie in the face of someone who knows the truth and involving such a great avera. So therefore, Avasi says, if he is there, if he is saying it, must be his right. Yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't be that audacious. He's either right or he's very, very mechutzav shein kamayu. So we prefer to say that he's on the right. That's Ravasi. Let's repeat Ravasi. Ravasi Omar af neman lichnois. Ravasi says yes, he's even believed to consummate the marriage and they can live happily ever after, even if the father doesn't know or even if the father denies. Umoido Ravasi. However, Rav Asi does admit in the following case. Before we continue, did that ever occur to you? I want to ask you a question. Before we continue, don't look at the Gemara now. Would there be any difference between a father who stands just saying, I accepted Kiddushin from a Prince Abela when she was 10, and I'm scratching my head not remembering who, and then we have Rav and Ravasi. What would be if Prince Abela, she's 30 years old or 13 years old, whatever, or 12 and a half. She's a Gdoila, she is a self-independent woman, and she says the same. Late at night, I got Kiddushin, there were a lot of guys around, somebody was Mekadesh me, don't remember who. I was half shikar, whatever. I wanted, but I'm not sure who, unfortunately. And I don't remember who the guy was, with the same storyline, same thing, no? She says, I was Miskadesh, I don't remember who. And then a guy came and says, it was me. So then, L'chora, it's the same thing. Apparently not. There is a difference because a woman also has an interest of what? Of Yetzer Hara. He's a nice, tall, dark, and handsome, and he says he's my husband. Maybe she's not. She's not his wife, but she's going along with his Yetzer Hara. A woman also has Yetzer Hara, in case you haven't noticed. What? Even worse by her. Very good. Says Ravasi. Says Ravasi. Umoide Ravasi. Or says the Gemara about Ravasi. Umoide Ravasi. Ravasi who said that when a man is coming to another man and said, I am the one married your daughter, he's 100% believed. However, Moed Ravasi agrees to Rav, but niskadashti. If a woman says, I was miskadesh, then yodas lemi niskadashti, I was miskadesh, I got the ring, I don't remember who from. Uba echad vomer kidashtia, she'ein neman lichnois. He's not believed to marry her. He's believed to give her a get because then he has no interest in that. But he's not believed to actually continue the marriage. Rashi doesn't say why, but I know from Rashi later that the reason is what I told you. Because she has a Yetzer Hara just like him. So there's nobody here to be the guardian dog, the responsible adult in the story. Here's a man and a woman. They not be man and a woman. Yalla, let's go and continue. Tanan. However, let's see the Mishnah, and the Mishnah seems to be a problem for Rav. What did the Mishnah say? Rotzu, if both men, remember the end of the Mishnah? They're both men fighting for one woman. He says, I'm the husband. The other says, no, I'm the husband. Like Mishpat Shloime. I'm the Shviger, I'm the Shviger. Rotzu, echad noisen get, beechad koines. Did you hear that? If they wanted, Reuven may give her a get, and Shimon may continue and consummate the marriage. Ooh, Tiyuv Taderav, right? Tiyuv Taderav. That's not good for Rav. Rav said that in any case, he's only believed to give a get. Because we say he won't lie, such a horrible lie to Mati Reshitis without his own interest. But when he has self-interest, they actually go ahead and continue living with her. We say no. The Mishnah says before it's not like that. Rav, how can he say that? The Mishnah said one of the two guys may go ahead and live with her and be married to her. Yeah, the kids are kosher. How does Rav manage with that? Amar lecho Rav, says Rav, no, it's different. Why? Shiny hosom, over there it's different. The came and the ika acher bahadei irtuti mirtat. Over there are two men who came. Because there's another man with him, that's why he is scared. Let's see Rashi. Came and the ika acher bahadei, says Rashi. She'omer ani kidashtia. There are two men who vehemently claim, I was the Mekadesh, right? Mirtat mikoro. If he was a liar, if Mr. Let's Shimon, who consummates the marriage, if he was a liar, he would have been scared. What's mikoro? Right from the start, he would have been scared. They're coming to court. Imagine yourself the following story. The two men hear the news online, Iran, Iraq, Yemen. They scroll down and they hear what? Prince Abela's father claims, also a news item, Mekadesh, a guy was Mekadesh, a girl, I don't remember who. Oh, if they both run to Beis Din together to say, I'm the one, each one is scared. If he's a liar, he's scared there's another guy. And maybe the other guy will say, it's me. And then the father will identify him as being the right one. The father's memory may be refreshed, right? And then I'll be coming out like a big liar in Beis Din with egg on my face. It's much more scary. Obviously, that's how lies work. I can lie to you that last night I learned Zohar. But I can, yeah, but if my wife was here, I wouldn't be able to lie to you because she thought I didn't learn Zohar, right? If there's another man or another person in the story, they can always, right, deny what you say. They negate. So therefore, when there's another person in the story, then if it was a liar, he would chicken out and say, oh, the other guy and the father will gang up on me and say, no, we know that it's us and not you. And therefore, the high kushta Omar, and the father would say that the other guy is saying the kushta, the truth. The one who lied is scared to be koines, and he's the one giving the get. Again, in other words, once we said that one guy gives the get, we assume that the guy gave the get is not because he doesn't like her, he's scared, he lied. So what's a good way to get out of it? You say, okay, I'll give her a get in order not to come out a liar. And therefore, the one who's koines, he's the right one. If he's really audacious enough to really marry her, and he's not scared of other people saying otherwise, must be he's really right. In other words, Rav is using the svar of Rav Asi, but in a limited way. Again, let's repeat. Rav Asi said that the person is always believed to say, I'm the husband and I will continue to full marriage. Because if he's not saying the truth, such horrible, blatant lie in front of the father who may know otherwise, it's too much of a lie to bear in Jewish circles. Even the people are Ramon, Mitsu, and Tish are scared, yeah? And therefore, we say, must be is right. Rav Asi said that in every case. Rav says, usually, I don't believe that's Svara, because he can trick the father. And he can say, no, really it was me, father, you don't remember. But when there's another guy, that's 2 against 1, right? If the guy who's saying it was me, his name is Reuven, and there's both Shimon and a father-in-law, and he comes to Beis Din saying, I married her and I'm willing to continue the marriage and consummate, and I'm a Yira Shamayim guy, and I will not go with Eshet Ish. 2 people may be against me, and I still know the truth. Must be his right. Must be his right, because otherwise he would be too scared. Because there are 2 people already who may be against him, and it's still audacious enough. Must be not audacious. Must be saying the truth. In such a case, says Rav, even I agree, as the Mishnah says, that really he can even consummate and continue the marriage. So that's okay. So we are very nice. We get it clear. That's Rav Asi and that's Rav. Now, Tani Kavose de Rav Asi. Let's look at the Brisa. Supports Rav Asi. Kidashti, what did Rav Asi say? That the person who comes and says, I was Mekadesh your daughter, is always believed, even if he's just the father-in-law against the son-in-law is believed, even to the point of continuing the marriage. Kidashti es biti, deini yodea lemi kidashtia. Same story. The father says, I was Mekadesh Shprinzele. I don't know who is the chosan. Uba echod, came one guy from the shuk, a guy came from nowhere. Gomar kidashtia. Afneman lichnois. If he says kidashtia, he is believed to even continue lachnis, to marry, to live with her, and build Bais Neman with her, Bais Neman Bisol, because otherwise he wouldn't have lied. If he was a liar, it's too much of a lie. Now, Konso, let's say they started living together, what you said, El and Chupa, they were under the Chupa, Cheder Yichud, and beyond. Uba Acher ve'omar, ani kidashtia. At some happy note in his life, or unhappy, later on in life came another guy, and then he says, I know, I was a man Mekadesher, loy kol himenu loy solov, too late. Loy kol himenu always means he doesn't have the halachic power. Loy kol himne, yeah, he's not believed, he's not able to answer a woman who's already muchzekes. We do it many times in halacha, even in the suffocate fish, you should know. Yeah, in chachamim, in halacha, we rarely break up a marriage, unless it's mamish, there's no other way, yeah? But loy kol himenu, you can't break up an existing marriage by saying, I'm the one who married her to begin with. Now, Ha'isha continues the Braisa, and this is now relating to what we said before. Ha'isha, she's an adult woman, 35 and a half years old. She's a lawyer. She's a choshuva woman. she'omar niskadashti, I was miskadeshes. When you doubt miskadashti, I don't know who's mechosen. I don't remember. It was late at night. Uba echad v'amar ni kiddashtia. Comes Mr. Joe Schmo and says, I was mekadesher. Ein neman lichnois. He's not believed to continue the marriage, not to that point. Even according to Ravasi and his brisa, he's not believed to mamish continue live with her. Because she covers up for her, she's as much as bad as he is, right? In other words, she also covers up for him. She says, "Oh, you know what? Such a nice, good-looking, amazing guy. She amazing, making a lot of money. Yeah, you actually are my husband. Very convenient. And therefore, what? She's mechape olov. She also covers up for him." As we say in Hebrew, I don't know if you say it in English, it's like letting the cat look after the milk. You have the expression? In other words, you get the point. You let the cat look at your guard, he needs guarding. Yeah. She says yes. Of course she says yes. She says yes or as much as he does. And therefore, even according to Ravasi, they're not believed. It's shutfus. Ibai. But here comes, now we bring it to a whole new level. Ibai lehu. Now comes the question, Mahu liskoil al yodoi. Oh, in other words, let's say the father said, my daughter was miskadish, right? Dano Edim, the father said, I know my daughter, my 10 years old was miskadish, and we assume she was miskadish, and she's a naira. She's between, let's say, 12. Soon you'll know why this is the age group that I'm choosing here. I'm asking you a question. I'm speaking too much. 12 to 12 and a half. Who's in charge of her Kiddushin? Father or her? Father. Is he believed to say, I was Makadish my daughter? Yes. Can he say, I was Makadish, I don't know who to? Yes. He says, I was Makadish her, and nobody came. Nobody came. Nobody came. It's a new case. Nobody came and says, it's me. Okay. Miskena, she's stuck. You know what happened? She started befriending a boyfriend, and she was Mizane. She had relations with a man, right? After the father already testified that she's married. Normally, in times of Beis Hamikdash, and Naira Moirosa, what does she get? The skila, very good. A regular Shetish gets chenek, and Naira Moirosa, if it's the first time, she gets a skila. Oh, and now the question is, Mahu liskol al yodoi. Do we take his ne'emonus to the extent of mamish making her being skila or not? Let me explain the question. Of course, this woman slash girl, this Naira, if she wants to marry now in the Rabbanut or the Bedats or who runs it in England, Tadassia, London Beis Din, whoever, yeah. Okay, Manchester Beis Din, yeah. Of course, they would not allow the 12 years old marry if the father comes saying she is Mukadesh to someone else. Obviously. But let's say she was Mizana and the Beis Din in Eretz Israel want to take her to Biniskal. Do we say, oh, she's an Eshes Ish? Or maybe not. Why? Because maybe for Skila, for Mrs. Beis Din, maybe there we need to aid him. We know that Beis Din were very, very reluctant to do what? To kill people. A Beis Din who killed somebody once in 7 years was very extreme. That's more than America today, yeah, than Texas. Once in 7 years, death sentence was like a very extreme, cruel Beis Din, yeah. And that's written, yeah, in Makis Navzain. So basically, do we believe the father to the extent of mamish executing her, or do we believe him only to the extent of not letting her marry? How far do we take his ne'emanus, his credibility? So now, Rav Omar ain't so clean. Rav says no, he's believed, but he's not believed enough to mamish helter stone her by his words. So Avasi Omar so clean. Oh, Avasi says yes, he's believed up to no extent, even to so clean, even to kill her. Rav Omar, now the Gemara will explain why. Rav Omar ain't so clean. Why not? I know the Torah believed him, but only the Torah believed him to answer her on the whole world. But to kill her, to that extent, the Torah did not believe him. The Torah can believe somebody up to a point and not further than that. The Torah can play around and regulate the ne'emanus. Excuse me. Yeah, really? When the Torah believed him for everything. However, Omar Avasi, Umaydina, but I also admit, Ravasi is here, the hardliner. Ravasi says that if the father said so, she's believed to No, I mean, he's believed, excuse me, to say that Shidei Shutish ad kedei to execute her. Omar Basi, umoidina, I admit to Mekol Igrav, I admit, I back off when Boimeres Niskadashti Shen Soiklim. That's halacha. Let's say a woman, an adult woman, she is 28 years old, she's 41 years old, and she said to the whole world, I was a miskadeshes. She put it in the WhatsApp, Instagram. I was miskadeshes and I don't know who to, I'm stuck. And then she was mezaneh. And for that, there are Adim. There are no Adim that she ever married. She said, I married, nobody else knew. I went to the Bahamas and I got married there with a Jewish guy. There are no Adim. We got married on the separate kosher beach in Bahamas. That's where we got married. Who knows? She says that. Nobody else saw that we know of, right? And now she was mizane with a man, and people do know that to Adim. So then, even I agree, ain't soiklim. When the father says about his daughter, we believe him. But when a woman says about herself, we believe her that she can't marry anybody, but we don't believe her to recycle her, to execute her upon her own words. Those of you remember Sanhedrin should already have your feelers on. Otherwise, we continue. You remember the story there? Okay. Around Daf Yud? Okay. Rama Avasi. Says Avasi. Avasi is now talking about his own statements. Says Avasi, Hanishmaita Didi, my own statements, Merapsan Igri. Merapsan Igri is a statement which is very common in Yeshivish language. You know, Merapsan Igri. Not, of course. Merapsan Igri means they break the roofs. In other words, what I'm saying, breaking the roof in Aramaic means doesn't make sense. Yeah, you go to Ponevezh, you go to Hebron, you go to the Mir, you listen to Lakewood maybe also in America. You hear one guy shouting and it says, Merapsan Igri. Means to say, it doesn't make sense what you're saying. Merapsan Igri. Yeah, you're breaking the roofs with your contradiction, which means Rav Asi claims, Rav Asi is now doing self-introspection, yeah? Self-quality control. He's criticizing himself for Asi's own statement. What does he say? Hashta, Uma b'mokom. Again, what did Rav Asi say? Before we continue, what are the two statements of Rav Asi? By the case of the father, what did we say? The father is believed even at Kidei to kill her. He's not going to kill her. The father is believed that she's married, then if Mezana would kill her. That's Rav Asi. But if she herself says that, yeah, then we don't believe her up to the point of that if she's Mezana would kill her, right? So the father is more believed than her regarding her execution. Says Rav Asi, my own statement, Rav Asi will answer the question. Rav Asi says, seemingly, what I say doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Now listen. Hashta now, Uma b'mokom shimba lichnois koines. When is it that the person is believed? If a man comes and says, I'm the husband, we believe him, and he may consummate the marriage, that's when he's talking for the father, when he's talking in front of the father. And then Amarta Soiklim, then we believe the father so much, and we say she's executed. In the case of the woman herself, if the man says, I'm your husband, and she says, yes, yes, then we don't allow him to consummate the marriage, which means that she's less believed. That she's more believed. Or the more so she's clean, right? If she says, yes, I'm married, yes, married, and yet we say, no, we don't continue, Avada, you should be cycle upon her statements, right? In other words, yeah, it's a kol shekain. Let's see it in Rashi now. Hashta, b'mokem shimba, Rashi, the end of the first wide line. Ha'omer lifnei ha'av, if a person came in front of the father, ani kiddeshtia, I was mekadesh, amarti, ne'eman, Rav Asi talks about himself, ne'eman lichnos v'koines, we believe the man and he may consummate and continue the marriage. So the father's statement is not so believed. Why? The father said Mikudeshes on everybody, so she should be also on everyone. And yet we say that he can debilitate the statement of the father. He can make the statement of the father. We can say, you said she's also in the whole world. No, she's also in everybody else except for me. I'm right. I'm the husband. Which means the statement of the father, which is, again, the father forbade her on everybody, And Mr. Yoshmo Chochem Gadol, he came and he says, no, I am allowed to be with her, and we believe him. So the father's statement is not so strong. It's not foolproof, right? Even in that weak statement, we say that the father is believed to kill her. He's believed to kill her. Kol shekain, I'm not continuing the next parsha because we don't have time. Kol shekain, where the woman herself says, I'm miskadesh, and then we say her statement of kiddushin, we believe her more because we say she's miskadesh. She says I'm miskadesh. I'm author on everybody, and the chassan says, you married to me. We say no. Her first statement is foolproof. There's no chink in her armor. We believe her 100% that what she's mekudeshes and what he's saying now, or even what she's saying now, don't believe. So her statement is stronger. So Koshikin, she should be able to be killed by that statement. Make up your mind, says Rabasi to himself. Is a statement strong or weak? Says the back to the Gemara, no, Velohi. No, nothing is terrible with my statement. The father will believe and her we don't believe. Says Rashi, the magic words from Sanhedrin, nothing to do with an emonus. That we don't believe her regarding killing herself. Because we have a statement in Sanhedrin which follows us through entire Shas. What's the statement? The opposite. Although and your wife is believed about Nida, about checking the letters, and one enem and bisurin, ain odom mesimatz marosho. If a person, as opposed to English and American law, if a person comes to Beis Din or the police station and says, I murdered, I killed, or the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, I had mishtav zochor, I had relations with another man, go home. We don't, self-incrimination, that's the word, that's right. Self-incrimination in halacha doesn't work for many reasons. First of all, it's Odom Kovetz Alatzmoi. Just like I can't testify about my brother, whom I love, for good or for bad. I'm my own grandpa. I'm my own relative. I'm not believed. And there are negias. Or maybe the person has negias, wants to commit suicide, he wants to create drama, or he wants to pass his eduyos. As on the Rishonim explained, a person who self-incriminates has an interest, maybe pressurized by other people. Let's say I testified against the big mafioso yesterday. Mafioso doesn't want to kill me, but the mafioso has to pay $10 million. Mafioso comes to me with a gun and says, you say that you are a Rosha, retroactively, all your adios will be possible. There's a lot of, I actually spoke once to a British lawyer, and he's, I don't think it's probably not very, very modern, or more modern than Orthodox, let's put it this way. And he had a lot of arguments about Torah, and he said that halach he understands very well, because he's a very top lawyer in England, I won't say who he is, and he said they do it all the time. In England, they pressurize people to self-incriminate, because it works very well for them. And they put a lot of pressure because even though they know it's not true, the case is closed. He knows it's for fact. Yeah, he knows from inside. So they take a guy who maybe wants to self-incriminate, they pressurize him, they threaten him, a self-incrimination. That's the truth. So in halacha, we don't believe in that. Back to our sugya, that's a story. It's nothing to do with how believed they are vis-a-vis the other men. Vis-a-vis the other men who come and wants to break the armor, could be the woman is more, could be less. Nothing to do with that. There's pashat halacha. A woman cannot be killed upon her own statement, or a man, or anybody. That's it. A man, the could be statement is very, very strong, amazingly strong. And no man can marry her and break the armor of Ayah Mikudeshes. True, so what? Nothing to do with that. There's Pashat Halacha for her to kill herself, based it to execute herself upon her own statement. Pashat doesn't work. It's against the rule of Enadom Esamatz Marosho. And therefore, Abasi's statement are not Meraps and Igor in the very good. Today we experienced a miracle because I think the shiur was pretty coherent. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, in spite of all the nisim I went through last night. Thank you so much. It's all this the beautiful, beautiful crowd we have over here. Baruch Hashem, the beautiful people in Abbas Shalom Koilel, such a choshuv, a quality crowd I have the chus to see every day. And thank you to everybody in Torah Anytime and on YouTube. They watch us. May we see the Geula very soon from all directions of the earth. Hatzlacha uvracha.